Welcome inside the State Champs Sports Network studios here in Southfield, Michigan. Once a year, we don our Sunday best in order to talk recruiting here in the state of Michigan. Welcome to the 5th Annual State Champs Signing Day Special presented by Lawrence Tech. Speaking of the Blue Devils, big news. Lawrence Tech is starting a football program. Technically, they had one 70 years ago, but if you have the dream of playing college football, your opportunities have just expanded. More on LTU football throughout the show, including an interview with the new head coach. But right now, I want to welcome the guys on set as National Signing Day is this Wednesday. Let's talk about it. These gentlemen have been with us throughout the years, and you clean up well. You guys look good. At the far end of the stage, longtime Detroit News beat writer, now in his 5th year as senior editor and writer for StateChampsNetwork.com. Tom Markowski is here.
Great to be here.
All right, next to him is Scout.com's Midwest football recruiting manager, Alan True, back with us.
Great to be here as well.
All right, and here is Oakland Press writer, State Champs recruiting blogger, Scott Bernstein. How you doing, bud?
Thanks, man. Love recruiting day.
All right, we're doing something a little different this year to kick off the show. We call this segment Difference Makers. I have tasked these gentlemen in picking an athlete from the fairly recent past who lived up to the hype, became a star in college, and a current high schooler who you expect to have a similar impact. So let's start with Alan True. Alan, who is your difference maker and who has a great chance of becoming one?
Well, my difference maker is Jordan Lewis, and it's appropriate that he's playing in the Senior Bowl this week and having a good week down there. He was a kid coming out of Cass Tech who had some expectations behind him. Cass Tech had had this long line of corners come out, and some of them didn't fare as well in college as they were expected to. Jordan was one guy who I think even exceeded the expectations he had in high school, became an All-American at Michigan, likely to be an early round draft pick, and I think Michigan's about to get another one out of the city of Detroit in Ambry Thomas. Comparing him to Jordan, Ambry's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, maybe not as technically refined as Jordan was coming out of high school, but I think he's going to get that in college, and I think his upside is as high as any of these top corners we've had come out of Michigan the last few years. I think you could be looking at Ambry Thomas in 4 years in the same position as Jordan Lewis at the Senior Bowl, about to be drafted pretty high.
Let's go to Scott Bernstein now, your difference maker of the past and near future.
So my difference maker of the future is Donovan Johnson, the cornerback from Detroit Cass Tech. I compare him a lot to Desmond King, who came out of Detroit East English Village a couple years ago and had just an excellent college career at Iowa, was an All-Big Ten and an All-American cover corner. I think Donovan Johnson has that same upside, that same projection going to the Big Ten. He's going to Penn State. Just excellent anticipation, great cover corner skills. I think that Donovan Johnson has a really good chance to parallel what Desmond King did, have a chance to go play in the NFL, be a draft pick, and Desmond King right now is projecting to be pretty high draft pick.
Let's finish with Tom Markowski. Who are your difference makers?
Well, we'll start with Darius Phillips out of Western Michigan, came out of Dearborn Heights Robichaud. Kind of under the radar a little bit in high school just because Robichaud isn't your really powerhouse team. But everybody knew coming out of high school that this kid was going to be good. Ended up at Western Michigan. He's taken some time away from rowing the boat, but he helped that ship get to Dallas. Hey, as a kick returner, he averaged 11.7 per punt, and as a defensive back, had 4 picks, 3 he returned for touchdowns. Now, he was just part of that defense that made the Broncos go. I really think that you could look at Antoine Simmons at Ann Arbor Pioneer. Kind of banged up early in the season, worked his way through that little ankle problem he had. I thought he had a sensational year at the end. Originally committed to Ohio State. I think Michigan State got a really good one in Antoine. I think Antoine can play inside linebacker, and if he got a little bit bigger, as far as his strength, he'd be more of a run stopper. It seemed like he played a lot of strong safety type of in the middle for Ann Arbor Pioneer. And he is also a good running back, so you would assume that State would use him as a defensive back, but I just love the way he comes out and hits with a passion.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. A little later in the show, we'll do the same exercise, but instead talk about some recent guys who flew under the radar heading into college football, only to take every advantage of their opportunity, and who are some dark horses we may not be talking about a lot right now, but could, that and a whole lot more ahead.